Ancient yogis and Buddhist monks made a fundamental discovery that has been passed down through the ages. Reality changes in response to observation. Their ability to demonstrate the extraordinary power of undivided attention was shown by the fact that they learnt how to bring about miracles in their lives. To be more specific, what is the formula that is the secret behind this occurrence that seems to be magical? When it comes to reality, how does one's attention affect them? This video is going to teach you all you need to know about it. We'll go deeply into the skill of manipulating energy in order to co-create your reality. We'll use the power of your focus alone to bring quantum occurrences into your physical experience. The process is not as mysterious as it may seem. Rather, it is a complicated interaction between energy, attention, and the quantum physics that underlies our reality, which cannot be explained or explained away. Therefore, is it possible to make a genuine change in your life by only changing the way you focus your attention? When it comes to the science of attention and reality, knowing the flow of energy and attention is comparable to witnessing a river in which the stream runs continually. Your focus continues to flow, directing the flow of energy in the same way as the current of the river continues to flow. The deep relationship that exists between attention and the manifestation of reality is brought to light by this idea, which, despite its apparent simplicity, is profound. When we focus our attention on a particular objective or want, we direct our energy towards the achievement of that objective or desire, bringing it into our reality in the same way that a moth is pulled to a flame in an irresistible way. Is it anything you've ever noticed that when you completely submerge yourself in a certain notion, event, or scenario, it has this amazing way of manifesting itself in your life? Not only is this not a casual coincidence, but it is also a demonstration of the incredible power that your attention has, which is actively altering your reality. Unquestionably, there is a substantial link between the concentrated attention you provide and the reaction that the world gives you. By directing the beam of your attention in any direction, you are essentially directing the universe to respond in a manner that is favorable to you. You might think of your attention as the rudder of your life, deftly guiding your reality in the exact direction that you deliberately choose to go. Next, let's discuss the phenomenon of energy stagnation, as well as the patterns that seem to be recurring in our life. Imagine that there is a dam that is preventing the flow of a river. When we allow our energy to get stagnant, we discover that we are unable to break out of these recurring patterns in our lives. We will continue to experience these cycles until we are able to liberate ourselves from the confines of our stuck energy and adjust our focus. In the same way that a river can only flow again when the obstruction has been removed, we too need to rid ourselves of the energy blockages that keep us from refocusing our attention and, as a result, bringing about a transformation in our life. We may pave the way for a life that is richer in meaning and more fulfilling by doing so. It is important to keep in mind that energy cannot be generated or destroyed. Rather, it can only be transformed from one form to one. The transforming potential that lies inside every one of us is shown by this comment from Albert Einstein. We are able to liberate ourselves from recurrent patterns and bring about quantum occurrences in our reality if we are able to comprehend and control our energy via our attention. We are not concerned with the production of energy. Rather, we are concerned with the transformation of energy, and the trigger for this transition is nothing more than our attention that is focused. Attention may be broken down into many categories: positive and negative, love and hatred, light and darkness, and the rules of polarity that govern the cosmos. Our attention, like other forms of attention, may be categorized as polar attention, and it plays a vital part in both the attraction and the repulsion that our reality evokes in us. The practice of directing your attention toward one end of a spectrum while simultaneously being aware that the opposing end of the spectrum is referred to as polar attention. Every circumstance that we encounter in our lives has both a problem and a solution, which are two opposite ends of the same spectrum. Just for a moment, picture a coin with the words problem printed on one side and solution printed on the other. Whenever a circumstance presents itself in your life, which side of the coin are you going to choose to concentrate on? When you focus your attention on a certain aspect, you are empowering that aspect. In contrast, concentrating on the solution draws the means to fix the issue, while giving energy to the problem makes it more difficult to solve. It is not about ignoring the issue. Rather, it is about adjusting your viewpoint to the solution or the potential solution. Not two distinct things, but rather two sides of the same coin. The issue and the solution are not independent entities. Your ability to align with the positive end of the spectrum and, as a result, exert a significant amount of influence on your reality may be achieved via the manipulation of your polar focus. Breaking the cycle of energy stagnation and bringing about quantum occurrences in your reality requires a thorough comprehension of polar attention. The transforming power that is inside you may be unlocked by focusing your attention on something specific. An interesting aspect of human awareness is non-polar attention, also known as neutral attention. Let's move on from polar attention and investigate this aspect in more depth. A sort of attention that is all-encompassing. This type of attention goes beyond the dualities and polarities that are present in our vision. Engaging in neutral attention is analogous to taking on the role of a passive spectator, meaning that one observes events and experiences without being emotionally invested or prejudiced. Consider yourself to be a placid lake. A circumstance or thinking is analogous to a stone that is thrown into the reservoir. The ripples that the stone makes, which have an effect on the steady surface, would be the focus of polar attention. On the other hand, when you choose to pay neutral attention, you become the whole lake. You remain calm and unaffected, and you just observe the waves without being bothered. Having the ability to tolerate both extremes of the polarity spectrum without being attracted to or repulsed by any of them is an essential component in the process of dissolving the reality that you are now a part of and establishing a new reality. We cease applying energy to our present reality when we watch without engaging in judgment or attachment. This causes our existing reality to lose its solidity, which in turn opens the door for the potential of a new reality to come into existence. In order to bring about quantum events in your reality, how can you harness this powerful force of neutral attention? The cultivation of an equanimous mind, the ability to accept situations as they come, and the maintenance of a balanced viewpoint are all essential components. In the same way that a bird requires both of its wings in order to fly, you, too, need to recognize both sides of a circumstance in order to rise above it and bring about the reality that you want to experience. By mastering nonpolar attention, you will not only be able to dissolve the bounds of your existing reality, but you will also become the author of your quantum occurrences, therefore scripting a reality that is in alignment with your deepest ambitions. One of the most basic laws of the universe is that energy flows in the direction that attention goes. This is true for both positive and negative attention. Not only does life react to the intensity of our attention, but it also reacts to the substance of our attention, regardless of whether either the content is good or bad. You bring into your life events and experiences that resonate with the vibrations of negativity, fear, or rage into your life when you linger on those emotions. Turning your attention to love, joy, and appreciation, on the other hand, will bring more good events into your life. Essentially, this is the core of the powerful principle known as the law of attraction, which regulates the manner in which our thoughts and feelings influence the reality that we experience. Unlocking the power to bring our wishes into existence and creating a life that is rich in riches, pleasure, and contentment may be accomplished by gaining a knowledge of the law of attraction and putting it into practice. Essentially, our feelings serve as a compass, directing us across the landscape of a wide variety of events that we encounter during our lives. These two strong feelings, love and hatred, have the potential to create a dynamic cycle of attraction and repulsion between them. Take into consideration the following. When you are completely in love with something, you naturally draw your attention towards it. And when you intensely despise something, you often find yourself unable to stop thinking about it. Therefore, regardless matter whether you are experiencing love or hatred, the focus of your attention sends a signal to the world to bring out more of the same, which in turn shapes your reality in significant ways. The comprehension of our innate dread and the technique of survival is yet another essential component to take into consideration. Fear is an instinctive reaction to the possibility of harm. It was the mechanism that enabled our ancestors to survive and remain safe. On the other hand, in the contemporary environment, this fear often gets conditioned, and it continues to exist even when there is no imminent threat around. Because this dread is so persistent, it puts us in a permanent state of survival mode, which means that we are more prone to concentrate on negative things, which in turn brings more of those things into our life. It is possible for us to break away from this cycle and build a life that is more positive and fulfilling if we acknowledge and find a solution to this deeply ingrained fear. When we become conscious of our fears, we have the ability to make a deliberate decision to change our attention from the bad to the good, which will result in the beginning of a domino effect of positive attraction in our life. It is important to keep in mind that the ability to shape our reality exists within the palms of our hands, or more properly, within the unidirectional concentration of our attention. The impact of society on attention. Society, especially via the media and social platforms, has a significant amount of influence on our perception and the way we focus our attention. Our lives are continuously being inundated with an excessive amount of information, and as a result, we find ourselves becoming unintentional witnesses to a reality that is created by fear and pessimism. News networks, social media feeds, and even gossip columns build complicated tales of dread, tragedy, and scandal, catching our attention and trapping us in a loop of negativity inside our awareness. These narratives are designed to make us feel anxious and upset. The constant onslaught of information that is centered on fear teaches us to anticipate and, as a result, bring about events that are similar to those that we have had in our life. It is of the utmost importance that we realize this trend and make a concerted effort to look for alternate sources of information and narratives that encourage optimism, development, and resilience. Having said that, let us now go into the significance that pride, fear, and rage play in the molding of society. These very potent feelings are routinely utilized by various sectors of society in order to influence and manipulate public mood, which usually results in far-reaching effects. For instance, political campaigns and advertising techniques make substantial use of these feelings in order to exert influence over choices and actions. They do this by tapping into the collective strength of fear, the ability for anger to catalyze, and the nature of pride to promote loyalty. When these feelings are twisted, however, they may result in increasing division, heightened conflict, and growing enmity. This continues to perpetuate a reality that is replete with bad experiences and further complicates our collective path. Last but not least, the patterns that are formed by previous traumatic experiences often reflect themselves in our personal interactions. Experiences from our childhood, relationships we've had in the past, and other key life events all contribute to the formation of our views and attitudes on love, trust, and connection. In the event that these patterns are not addressed, they will continue to manifest themselves in our romantic relationships, leading us to attract individuals who trigger these well-known and often distressing emotions. We need to address and heal our previous traumas in order to break free from these recurrent patterns. This will cause a shift in our concentration, which will ultimately result in a change in our reality. It is important to keep in mind that Albert Einstein, a great scientist, once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them." The significance of non-polar attention in the process of human development and growth. Non-polar attention, also known as neutral attention, is an important tool or instrument that plays an important role. The ability to honestly perceive events and experiences without prematurely giving them a biased label of bad or good is what is meant by the term neutral attention. As an alternative, we make a deliberate effort to see them for what they really are, unremarkable happenings that are part of the exquisite dance that is life. It is very uncommon for our traumatic past and challenging situations to seem like insurmountable mountains, casting long shadows over our life at the current moment. On the other hand, neutral attention enables us to adjust our viewpoint and regard these events not as challenges, but rather as chances for personal development, self-discovery, and a more profound comprehension of the world. It is possible for us to handle traumatic experiences more successfully if we observe our emotions without passing judgment on them or resisting them. This allows us to let them flow through our awareness without being trapped or creating a persistently unpleasant impact. The practice of non-polar attention has the potential to be an effective instrument in the fight against the perpetuation of bad events. The majority of the time, we inadvertently reinforce bad events by giving them an excessive amount of attention and significance, which ultimately causes them to become more ingrained in our cognitive processes. Nevertheless, by witnessing these events in a neutral manner, we are able to successfully disarm them of their capacity to perpetuate negative in our lives. Last but not least, neutral observation has the ability to dissolve. The act of paying attention in this manner is analogous to illuminating our inner world without passing judgment on it. By shedding light on our experiences in this manner, the shadows of negativity begin to dissipate, which paves the way for the experience of healing and change to take place. The warm light of impartial observation has the ability to dissolve our anxieties, doubts, and sorrow, clearing the way for a reality that is full with development, resilience, and optimism. This is similar to how the sun melts the frost that is lying on the ground in the morning. The connection between the heart and the mind. There is a fundamental interaction between the sensations that we experience and the concepts that we make evident deep inside ourselves. The captivating ebb and flow of the enormous ocean is akin to this delicate ballet, which is the same thing. Think at it this way. Our ideas, like waves, come to the surface, and they are constantly impacted by the currents that lie under them, which are our emotions. Our ideas are shaped and directed by the ripples that are created by the energy of our emotions, which acts as an extremely strong catalyst. The power of this process is so great that it has the ability to shape our entire reality, therefore influencing our perceptions and experiences in fundamental ways. In the same way that a storm may disrupt the peace and quiet of a lake, negative attention has the potential to have a significant impact on the content of our thoughts. Dwelling on unfavorable experiences or worries causes us to generate a tornado of ideas that are detrimental to ourselves and others. With this, the harmony that exists between our head and our heart is thrown off, and the outcome is a reality that is characterized by turmoil and hopelessness. The way we view the world is like to looking through a warped mirror. The image will be skewed, and so will our comprehension of whatever we are seeing. On the other hand, gaining a knowledge of this link gives us a means to move toward a more positive lifeline. Our ability to intentionally divert our attention toward positive feelings and ideas is made possible by the practice of attention management. Assume that you are in charge of a wild horse. With the right kind of management, you will be able to steer it in the direction of your chosen goal. Similarly, we have the ability to change the quality of our ideas and therefore our reality if we direct our focus toward positively oriented concepts. This change is not about repressing bad ideas, rather, it is about making the conscious decision to choose to develop good ones. This is analogous to sowing the seeds of happiness, tranquility, and love in the garden of our minds, and then tending to them with the water of our attention throughout the process. In the course of time, these seeds will develop into a verdant and flourishing garden, so bringing into existence a reality that is a reflection of the splendor and plenty that exists inside our own minds. One must start on a deep path of acceptance in order to completely grasp the transformational potential of attention, which is the discipline of employing attention. Acceptance, which is the first step on the ladder to neutral attention, is analogous to opening the windows of a musty chamber in order to let in the revitalizing air of freshness. When we accept our current circumstances with kindness and humility, we open the door to a world of fresh opportunities and possibilities. We gently flow with the currents of life, accepting adversities as essential components of our own development and evolution, rather than opposing what is, rather than trying to change it. Following that is the skill of seeing possible obstacles as opportunities disguised as gifts. The challenges that we face in life are not obstacles that we must overcome. Rather, they are stepping stones that lead us closer to our destiny. It is important to keep in mind the guidance that Winston Churchill offered when he said, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." Every obstacle teaches us something, provides us with a nugget of knowledge that points us in the direction of development. Take a seed, for example. In order to develop into a powerful tree, it must first burst and disintegrate. In the same way, the challenges we face may serve as a catalyst for our change, bringing us to a position where we are more powerful and wise. Last but not least, one of the most effective methods for manifestation is the habit of refocusing our attention on the goals that we want to achieve. The ship will travel in the direction that we chart, which is analogous to setting a compass for the navigation of a ship. It is our attention that determines the path that our reality takes. We actively participate in the process of writing the story of our lives when we direct our attention toward the things that we want and the aspirations that we have. We become the sculptors of our own reality, using the chisel of our attention to carve out the road that leads to our destination. According to the words of Socrates, a life that is not examined is not worth living. Therefore, let us evaluate our concentration and direct our attention toward the life that we wish to lead. Practical methods to harness attention. In order to properly harness our attention in order to control energy and generate quantum events in our reality, we must first participate in a technique called as absolute acceptance. Acceptance is more than just recognizing the situations we are now facing. Rather, it is about accepting them in their whole and without passing judgment on them. The approach that we are referring to here is what we call non-polar attention. The observation of our reality without assigning a positive or negative value to the experiences we have is an example of non-polar attention. In this way, one is able to see objects in their natural state without the influence of judgment. Because of this objective perspective, we are able to maintain our equilibrium regardless of the conditions that are occurring in our environment. One might say that it is comparable to being the eye of the storm, a haven of peace in the midst of the turbulence that life often brings. In the words of the Zen master Shunryu Suzuki, in the beginner's mind there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind there are few. As beginners, we have the ability to harness the power of non-polar attention in order to maintain an openness to a variety of possibilities. Nevertheless, the significance of acceptance in removing resistance is something that cannot be exaggerated nor overlooked. The shackles that tie us to our current circumstances and hinder us from growing and evolving into better versions of ourselves are resistance. The opposite of these shackles is acceptance, which serves as the key to unlocking them. Acceptance of our existing circumstances is the means by which we eliminate resistance, so paving the way for the introduction of something new. As an analogy, consider a river that flows smoothly around a rock. The water does not fight against the boulder. Rather, it just accepts its existence and seeks a new channel. In a similar vein, we need to acquire the ability to maneuver around the obstacles that life throws at us, acknowledging that they are a component of our path toward development and change. We are going to go more into the second idea that we are going to talk about, and we are going to investigate the power of looking for hidden benefits in difficult situations. Life is a complicated tapestry of events, some of which are enjoyable while others are difficult. Nevertheless, every occurrence, every thread in this tapestry, has a neutrality that is intrinsic to it. The color that we give things, whether it be good or negative, is determined by our perception and perspective. This idea is nicely encapsulated in the well-known proverb, "One person's trash is another person's treasure," which exemplifies the transformational power of perspective. The event itself, whether it be a loss, a failure, or difficulty, is analogous to raw clay that is looking forward to being shaped by our viewpoint. We may begin to see the hidden benefits that are contained inside these occurrences if we develop an attitude of acceptance and openness. This will allow us to transform adversity into an opportunity. In the midst of adversity, it is not about trying to gloss over pain or sugarcoat challenges. Rather, it is about looking for opportunities for personal development, learning, and possibilities for advantages. It is the wisdom of the Persian philosopher Rumi that echoes this sentiment. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Our wounds, our hardships, have the potential to become portals for development and enlightenment, if we have the courage to look beyond the surface. We may utilize this as a springboard to plunge into the sea of possible advantages that are concealed behind the shell of difficulty. This will allow us to build on our foundation of acceptance. The act of accepting something enables us to view things in their true form, removing the layers of judgment and resistance that have accumulated over time, and allowing us to see things from a new perspective. In the process of shifting our perspective, we are beginning to see that every cloud, regardless of how black and scary it may be, does in fact have a silver lining. For us to discover it, all we need is the bravery and the willingness to be open. Moving on to the third step, it is essential to refocus your attention and keep it on the reality that you want to experience in order to bring about quantum occurrences. This indicates that our energy, thoughts, and emotions are not dispersed or squandered on worries that are not useful, but rather are focused towards the creation of the reality that we wish at this moment. To begin the process of developing this concentrated attention, the first step is to achieve serenity. A condition of mental tranquility and composure, especially in the face of challenging circumstances, is referred to as equanimity. Imagine a placid lake that is not affected by the breeze that blows through it. Equanimity, on the other hand, guarantees that your mind is not affected by the happenings of the outside world. Consequently, it liberates your energy from the constraints of reactive reactions, allowing you to use that energy toward the creation of the reality that you want to experience. Having reached this condition of equanimity, one is able to make a smooth transition from acceptance to the production of something constructive. Instead of being locked in a rut of passive acceptance, you begin to actively construct a reality that resonates with your hopes and desires. In the words of the illustrious Albert Einstein, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Therefore, by directing your energy to produce quantum events, you are able to give your imagination the direction it needs to create the reality you wish. When you are doing this, it is important to keep in mind that you should not allow yourself to get disappointed by any apparent failures. They are nothing more than stepping stones on the road that leads to the creation of reality. We are the weavers of the magnificent tapestry that is existence, and the threads that make up this tapestry are our ideas and our energy. Through the practice of actively directing our attention and retaining serenity, we have the ability to thread the needle of our reality, stitch by stitch, into a picture that is beautiful and of our choice. As a conclusion, attention is the potent instrument that is responsible for shaping our reality. It's like having a flashlight in a room that's rather dark. When we guide this light, we shed light on various elements of our reality, which ultimately results in the formation of our one-of-a-kind experience of existence. There are several spiritual schools that highlight the value of attention, and they all trace their roots back to ancient knowledge. For instance, the Buddha once said, "We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our world." In the modern context, these wisdom teachings have found resonance in quantum physics, which confirms that our observation, our attention, influences the reality we experience. As a result, our attention serves as the connecting mechanism between the metaphysical world of ideas and the physical domain of reality. It is a transforming cycle that starts with serenity and concludes with the production of desired quantum events. The process of acceptance, redirection, and choice is a part of this cycle. We are able to recognize our existing reality via the practice of acceptance. Equanimity enables us to stay unmoved by it. And finally, through the process of making empowered choices, we are able to shift our attention toward the reality that we intend to bring into existence. In conclusion, I would want to urge you to put this three-step process into practice using my concepts. Constantly keep in mind that the weaving of life is in your hands. Your ideas and energies are the threads that you are responsible for weaving. You may construct the beautiful tapestry of your reality by concentrating your attention, keeping your serenity, and making choices that are cognizant of the consequences of those choices. Therefore, take control of your power, tap into your divine capacity for creation, and modify the reality you experience. As Rumi so wonderfully said, the universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you already are. True.